So good morning dear cadets. So today I am going to start with one question, and question is linked with the yesterday's question only. What was the yesterday's question? The reactivity of halogen is more than that of H2O2 and N2. So two reasons I taught you. Number one thing is the because of more electron gain enthalpy, and second one is the due to less bond dissociation enthalpy. So if you compare hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, the bond dissociation enthalpy of halogens means F2Cl2 Br2 and I2 is less. That is why they are more reactive. Now today I am starting with one question. The question is bond dissociation enthalpy of F2 is less than other halogen. Okay, so it is clearly mentioned here. The bond dissociation enthalpy of F2 is 158.8, while Cl2 is 242.6, Br2 192, and I2 is 159.5. So among all halogen, F2 has got less bond dissociation enthalpy. Okay, so they may ask question like that: bond dissociation enthalpy of F2 is less than other halogen. Why? Or second question they may ask like that also: F2 is most reactive among all halogens. Why? Okay, so answer of both question is similar only. It is very simple thing. Just see. Among all halogens means F2, Cl2, Br2 and I2. I am talking of the molecules of halogens. Okay. So just see, fluorine being is small in size as compared to other halogens Cl2, Br2 or Cl, Br and I. So when FF bond is formed, just see here, FF bond, F, single bond F. So just see, these are three lone pair of electron. And here what is there? Bond pair electron is there. You can make like that also. F, this is this one, and this is two bond pair. 2, 2 and 2. So here what is there? This one and this one. This is bond pair electron or not? So just see, since the fluorine size is small, their lone pair and bond pair electrons are very close. So if they are close, so repulsion would be, the magnitude of repulsion would be more, and because of this repulsion, this bond will become weak. Okay, this bond will become weak, resulting into what is there? The bond dissociation enthalpy is less. This is the only reason, that is why fluorine is the most reactive, because it needs less amount of energy to break its bond, and at room temperature that much amount of energy is available. That is why fluorine is most reactive. In case of Cl2, Br2 and I2, their size is large. So what is there? Lone pair and bond pair electron, they will be away from each other. So the magnitude of repulsion is less. So since magnitude of repulsion is less, then what would be there? Bond will break, but it will require more amount of energy. Means bond is little bit stronger than FF bond, F single bond F. That is why as compared to fluorine, their reactivity is less. And what is the order of reactivity? The order of reactivity is this one: F, then Cl, then Br and then I. Okay. Now you may raise question, sir. Cl2 is here having 242.6 kilojoule mole inverse energy, bond dissociation enthalpy. So it should have been least reactive, but the least reactive is iodine. Okay. So just try to understand, reactivity is not only judged on the basis of bond dissociation enthalpy. Some other things are also responsible for judging the reactivity, like electron gain enthalpy. Of course, the bond dissociation enthalpy of chlorine is more, but electron gain enthalpy is also more, na? So to decide the reactivity, not only bond dissociation enthalpy is taken into account, electron gain enthalpy should also be taken into account. So the chlorine, despite having more bond dissociation enthalpy, it is more reactive than Br2 and I2 because its electron gain enthalpy is more. So consider all aspects, then decide. So this is the final order of reactivity. Okay. So the reactivity, just see, as far as the reactivity of halogen is concerned, we have taken into account both factors. electron gain enthalpy and bond dissociation enthalpy. But when we decide the reactivity of halogen, so we have taken only bond dissociation enthalpy, especially in case of fluorine. We have taken bond dissociation enthalpy only. Okay, so don't worry, because this here in p block element, what is there? There are so many locks, and to open all locks different specialized key are required. Just minor difference is there in their slot. Okay, locks are almost similar, keys are also almost similar, but little bit slot will make the change. Okay, so here no master key is there. For explanation of each question, different concept is required. Okay, so once again, to decide the reactivity of halogen, we have taken into account bond dissociation enthalpy, especially in case of fluorine. But to decide the reactivity of halogens, means compare the reactivity of halogen with H2O2 and N2, we have taken into two aspects, that is the electron gain enthalpy and bond dissociation enthalpy. In this way, this question is over. Let us move to the another feature of halogen, that is oxidizing character. And you know non-metals are strong oxidizing agent. Okay, and among non-metal, which is the strongest oxidizing agent? Fluorine. So we'll discuss why fluorine is the strongest oxidizing agent. Even among halogen, fluorine is the most powerful oxidizing agent. So we'll discuss. First we'll seek the evidence. How can we say that fluorine is the strongest oxidizing agent? We'll seek the evidence and afterwards reason also. Okay, why fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent. Okay, okay, dear cadets. So now next one is oxidizing power of halogen. You begin with this one, oxidizing power of halogen. So there are so many boxes in the blackboard. Okay, initially you will feel difficult to understand, but I am hoping that I will be able to make you understand. There is the importance of each and every box. Okay, just see. So what I am dealing here, oxidizing power of halogen. So the oxidizing power of halogen is like that. Order I wrote. The first one is fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So fluorine is strongest oxidizing agent. Okay, evidence. Now in chemistry we can't make any statement, we need evidence. So just see, evidence is here only. Make reaction of fluorine with water. Okay, F2 plus H2O. Okay, why this evidence is taken into account? You know that water is generally neutral. Okay, so if powerful oxidizing agent is there, so powerful oxidizing agent can oxidize water like neutral substance also. That is why this reaction is taken as a parameter. So F2 plus H2O. Okay, so just see what are the product. This is HOF. What is this one? This is oxo acids of fluorine, like hypofluorous acid. What is the name of this one? Hypofluorous acid, just like a hypochlorous acid, HOCl. Of course, it is unstable at room temperature, unstable, and the oxidation state of fluorine is -1, but oxidation state of oxygen is +2 here. Another product is HF plus F2. So when fluorine react with water, it oxidizes water and remove here oxygen gas. So this is the big evidence. Removal of oxygen is who will remove the oxygen? If it is oxidizing agent, then only it will remove the oxygen. Na? Okay. What is the characteristics of oxidizing agent? The substance which furnishes nascent oxygen. Okay. So here it is a molecular oxygen. Don't worry. If we will write, it means here 4F2 I have taken, reduce the number. So the molecular oxygen can be written here. So ultimately what is here? Fluorine react with the water and furnishes nascent oxygen or oxygen molecules. That is why fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent. We can't say right now powerful oxidizing agent. agent, oxidizing agent. That word is correct. If other other halogen are also reacting with water and furnishing nascent oxygen, so they will also be the oxidizing agent. So let us check. Now make the reaction of Cl2 with water. So just see here what is there. Here what is there? Here nascent chlorine is evolved, oxygen is not evolved. Same is the case with Br2, Br2 plus H2O. So here you will get HOBr plus Br. Okay. Similarly I2 plus H2O. What is there? HOI plus I. Okay. So just check here. In all the three cases, Cl2, Br2 and I2, oxygen is not evolved here, okay, when they react with the water. So what does it indicate? That fluorine is the only oxidizing agent. As compared to them, fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent, because fluorine react with the water and furnishes oxygen. But rest halogen, you just see here, they are reacting with water but they are not furnishing the oxygen. It means as compared, they are also oxidizing agent. Except iodine, others are also oxidizing agent, but they are weak oxidizing agent as compared to fluorine. If we are mentioning, we are studying here fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, so we are comparing. What we are doing? Comparing. It doesn't mean that the chlorine is not oxidizing agent, bromine is not oxidizing agent, they are also oxidizing agent, but as compared to fluorine, they are weak oxidizing agent. Of course, iodine is reducing agent. Okay, iodine being a last member, their size is large, so it will act as a reducing agent. Okay, now we can prove with the help of modern concept of chemistry, that is oxidation number concept, which one is oxidizing agent, which one is reducing agent. So just see, here oxygen is -2, but here oxygen is +2. So -2 to +2, there is the increase in the positive oxidation state, that is why it is undergoing oxidation. Hence H2O is here reducing agent. Fluorine is here 0, fluorine is here -1, -1. So what is there? Fluorine from 0 to -1, there is a decrease in the oxidation state, positive oxidation state, and there is an increase in the negative oxidation state. That is why it is undergoing reduction. Hence it is F2 is a oxidizing agent. Am I correct or not? Now just see, this reaction is example of disproportionation reaction also, because oxygen is here -2, here oxygen is +2, here oxygen is 0. So same substance is undergoing oxidation and reduction. Just you can check here, -2 to -1 means there is a decrease. There is a decrease in the negative oxidation state. So it is a oxidation. And -2 to 0, there is an increase in the oxidation state. So this is oxidation. Okay. What is this one? Oxidation or not? -2 to -1, there is an increase in the negative oxidation state. Okay, check. So H2O is undergoing here, just see, -2 to -1, -1 is greater than -2. So there is a increase in the negative oxidation state. So it is undergoing reduction. Hence what is this one? Oxidizing agent, water. If we are not taking F2 then, and now -2 to 0, -2 to 0, so positive oxidation state increases. So what is this one? Undergoing oxidation. So it is reducing agent, and here it is a oxidizing agent. Correct or not? So this is also example. Just don't concentrate on that one, just you concentrate on F2. Okay, F2. Now F2 is here oxidizing agent and H2O is here reducing agent. So it is proved that fluorine is a oxidizing agent. Okay. Now just try to understand. It is proved that fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent. Okay. Now it is proved. Just see, in activity series or electrochemical series, you might have seen the electrode potential. So if you see the electrode potential, there is a clear-cut division: electrode potential of metal and electrode potential of non-metal. Correct? Am I correct or not? So the electrode potential of metal their electrode potential is negative, like sodium minus 2.71, correct? Bolt, it is written or not? Fluorine, just see, fluorine is a non-metal, their electrode potential is positive, it is written, I wrote here, plus 2.87. So what we can say? The electrode potential of non-metal is positive, while the electrode potential of metal is negative. Am I correct or not? So just see, non-metals, they are oxidizing agent. They are oxidizing agent. Greater the positive value, here I wrote, greater value of positive electrode potential, greater will be the strength of oxidizing agent. If any element has got positive electrode potential value, definitely it will act as a oxidizing agent. Means if their value is highest in entire periodic table, fluorine is the strongest oxidizing agent because its electrode potential is highly positive, plus 2.87. Okay, so this is also evidence in favor of powerful oxidizing agent strength of fluorine. Okay, its electrode potential is highly positive. So greater the positive value of electrode potential, stronger will be the oxidizing agent strength. Okay, correct? No problem at all. But try to understand electrode potential value. Just see, if you see the activity series, just see in the below of activity series, they have written the value of certain energies. Electrode potential value is, even in the reactions, in electrode potential reaction, they have written two types of reaction, oxidation reaction and reduction reaction. Everywhere aqueous word is mentioned. You can see that electrode potential value. So the electrode potential value, don't think that it depends upon one type of energy. Electrode potential value depends upon delta H overall. And delta H means, we can say in electrode potential value, three types of energies are involved. Delta H DIS, dissociation enthalpy. Delta H EG, electron gain enthalpy. Delta H by D, hydration enthalpy. This is for the non-metal. Means electrode potential of non-metal depends upon this. This is electrode potential or not? E naught, I wrote here. This is electrode potential. So now here fluorine case I wrote 2.87, chlorine case I wrote 1.36, Br2 case I wrote 1.09, I2 case I wrote plus 0.54. So these value depends upon these three types of energy: dissociation enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, and H by D means hydration enthalpy. Don't get confused. Okay, DISS means dissociation. Delta H EG means electron gain enthalpy. Delta H by D means hydration enthalpy. Now try to understand. If you sum these three energy, then you will get delta H overall. Delta H overall means enthalpy, overall enthalpy. If overall enthalpy value is negative, okay, overall enthalpy value, delta H overall, if it is negative, more negative, if delta H overall value is more negative, oxidizing power will be more, means oxidizing agent strength will be more. Okay, I am talking of delta H overall. Remember, for the non-metal only, the electrode potential of non-metal depends upon three types of energy: dissociation, electron gain, and hydration. Okay, now what is the delta H dissociation? The amount of energy needed to dissociate any molecules into atom, like F2 into FF, Cl2 into Cl and Cl, Br2 into Br and Br. Not only this one, H2 into H and H. So this is dissociation enthalpy. So since this amount of energy is needed, that is why positive sign I wrote. The energy which is required means delta H is positive. Am I correct or not? What about electron gain enthalpy? Amount of energy released when an extra electron is added to the isolated gaseous atom. So what is this one? Negative sign. What is this one? Negative sign, because energy is released in this process. Now delta H hydration. Last year I told the definition of hydration enthalpy. What is the hydration enthalpy? Hydration enthalpy is energy released when an ion getting surrounded by water molecules. Getting surrounded by water molecules. The amount of energy released when an ion getting surrounded by water molecules. Am I correct or not? So smaller the size of ion, greater will be the hydration enthalpy. So this is also the amount of energy released, means it is exothermic, that is by negative sign. I wrote here. So it is proved now dissociation enthalpy is amount of energy needed, that is by positive sign. Electron gain enthalpy is the amount of energy released, that is by negative sign. Delta H hydration, that is the amount of energy released, that is by negative sign. And the sum of these three types of energy is equal to delta H overall. Now just see, if electron gain enthalpy and hydration enthalpy value is more, okay, so they will overcome the high dissociation value and overall sign will be the negative. And if overall sign is negative, then what would be there? Element will be powerful oxidizing agent. Okay, are you getting my point or not? Remember here, if delta H value is negative, then electrode potential value will be positive. Are you getting my point or not? Just see, in this case what is there? I have added here fluorine and chlorine, all three energies. Okay, so remember this one, if delta H value is negative, delta H overall value is negative, then electrode potential value will be positive. So for non-metal case, delta H overall is negative, that is why their electrode potential value is positive. You may ask, sir, why electrode potential is positive while their delta H overall is negative? Actually, this depends upon Born-Haber cycle. Last year I taught you Born-Haber cycle. Okay, so right now just you remember this one. In D block elements also it is there. Will clarify there. If delta H value is negative, then electrode potential value will be positive. Just right now you remember this one. In next unit it is there. Okay, and it is determined on the basis of Born-Haber cycle. Okay. Now what about electrode potential of metal? I wrote here, this is for the metals, and this is for the non-metal. Electrode potential value of metal is negative. Electrode potential value of metal is negative. So their delta H overall should be positive, because electrode potential and delta H overall is inversely related. Okay, they are inversely related. So just try to understand. There is one minor difference while calculating the electrode potential of metal and non-metal. Okay, the non-metal electrode potential value depends upon dissociation, electron gain enthalpy and hydration enthalpy, but electrode potential of metal depends upon sublimation enthalpy, ionization enthalpy and hydration enthalpy. So hydration enthalpy is common in both the cases. Okay, just see, in place of dissociation, here what is there? Sublimation. Okay, in place of electron gain enthalpy, here what is there? Ionization enthalpy. Now hydration enthalpy is common. So just see, and you know that non-metal is known for gaining of electron. So electron gain enthalpy is their characteristics. Metal is known for donation of electron. So their characteristics is ionization enthalpy. So here also what is there? The electrode potential of metal depends upon sum of sublimation enthalpy, hydration enthalpy and ionization enthalpy. What is sublimation enthalpy? Amount of energy needed to convert the solid atom into gaseous atom. Okay, like sodium solid into NaG, gaseous atom. In Born-Haber cycle last year I taught you. So what is there? Delta H sublimation. This is also amount of energy required. So the positive sign, ionization enthalpy is the amount of energy needed to remove electron from an isolated gaseous atom and from their outermost cell. So this is also amount of energy needed, positive sign. Hydration enthalpy is the amount of energy released. So the negative sign. So just see, for metals what would be there? If delta H overall is positive, if delta H over all is positive, the element would be strong reducing agent. So I wrote here, if delta H over all is positive, stronger will be the reducing agent strength. Okay, reducing agent strength. And remember, if delta H over all is positive, then electrode potential will be negative. Inverse relation is there between sign of electrode potential and delta H over all. Okay, I hope that you have got. Actually, we require here non-metal only. Metal I don't require, but in D block element all are metal only, and everywhere you require this one. So it is better to understand here only, because here comparison is there between metals and non-metal. So what is the summary here? The electrode potential value of metal depends upon sum of three types of energy, that is sublimation, ionization enthalpy and hydration enthalpy. If delta H over all is positive, then electrode potential value will be negative. This is the only reason, that is why in electrochemical series or activity series, metals electrode potential is written with negative sign, while non-metal electrode potential is written with the positive sign. The best example is here only. So if electrode potential is positive, it means their delta H over all is negative. If electrode potential is negative, it means their delta H over all is positive. I hope that you have got this one. Okay. Now our question is here, this one. I wrote here question. What is that question? F is having less negative electron gain enthalpy value than Cl, but still it is a powerful oxidizing agent. Just try to understand. Just in the yesterday's video I told you now, the electron gain enthalpy of fluorine is lesser than that of chlorine. Due to the small size of fluorine, they do not accept the incoming electron, they repel them. So F is having less negative electron gain enthalpy value than Cl, but still it is a powerful oxidizing agent. Means actually who should have been the powerful oxidizing agent? Chlorine should have been the powerful oxidizing agent, because its electron gain enthalpy value is more. But remember, electron gain enthalpy value is not the criterion to decide the strength of oxidizing agent. Actually, the strength of oxidizing agent depends upon three types of values, three types of energies: dissociation, electron gain enthalpy and hydration enthalpy. And now just see what is there. Their overall greater the negative value of delta H overall, stronger will be the oxidizing agent. So I have compared here, see, fluorine, dissociation enthalpy for fluorine is 79 kilojoule mole inverse, for chlorine 121. Delta H Eg, electron gain enthalpy, fluorine is what is that one? Minus 333. And for chlorine minus 349. Electron gain enthalpy value for chlorine is more. Hydration enthalpy of fluorine is minus 515, and for chlorine minus 381. If you just see here, I sum up also, negative you add, this is the positive, so subtract here. So you will get 769, minus 769. Same is the case here. This is minus 609. So greater the delta H overall value negative, so stronger will be the oxidizing agent strength. Okay, now just see, what is the question? F is having less negative electron gain enthalpy. Of course, fluorine is having less negative electron gain enthalpy, but still it is a powerful oxidizing agent. Why it is a powerful oxidizing agent? Because their hydration enthalpy is more. Why their hydration enthalpy is more? Hydration enthalpy depends upon the atomic size, and fluorine size is smaller than chlorine. That is why their hydration enthalpy is more. Okay. Moreover to this, their dissociation enthalpy is less, and dissociation enthalpy is positive value. So just try to understand, to be delta H overall value negative, what should be there? Electron gain enthalpy value should be more negative, and hydration enthalpy value should be more negative, but this should be less, dissociation enthalpy, because it is opposite sign. So if electron gain enthalpy value and hydration enthalpy value is more, than that of dissociation enthalpy value. So the delta H value will be negative. Okay, and that is the case. So why fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent despite having less electron gain enthalpy value than that of chlorine? Because its hydration enthalpy is more and dissociation enthalpy is less. Why fluorine dissociation enthalpy is less or bond dissociation enthalpy is less? Because of small size repulsion between bond pair and lone pair. Bond pair and lone pair electrons are close. Now chlorine bond dissociation enthalpy is very high due to bigger size 242. In the first part of this video I taught you. Okay, so chlorine is a weak oxidizing agent than fluorine because of more bond dissociation enthalpy and less hydration enthalpy. Once again I am summing up. To be strong oxidizing agent, what should be there? Number one, delta H value should be, delta H overall value should be more negative. And when delta H overall delta H value would be negative, when hydration enthalpy should be more, electron gain enthalpy should be more, but dissociation enthalpy should be less. Chlorine case, dissociation enthalpy is more. Okay. Of course, fluorine electron gain enthalpy is less, but that has been compensated by the more hydration enthalpy and less dissociation enthalpy. That is why fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent. So I hope that you have got this one. Now everywhere box is there, but I hope that you understood this one, and this is one of the most important aspect of this unit, and definitely you will get the question also from this particular part. So answer also I wrote here. Okay, due to less bond dissociation enthalpy of fluorine and high hydration enthalpy, it compensates less electron gain enthalpy value of fluorine. While in case of chlorine, here you can write due to less bond dissociation enthalpy of fluorine and high hydration enthalpy, it combinedly, here write combinedly compensate less electron gain enthalpy of fluorine. While in case of chlorine, its bond dissociation enthalpy value is more and hydration enthalpy value is less. Hence, its delta H overall is less negative than overall of delta H overall of fluorine. Hence, fluorine is a powerful oxidizing agent than chlorine despite having less electron gain enthalpy. Just you remember one thing. To be powerful oxidizing agent, what should be there? Electron gain enthalpy and hydration enthalpy value should be more and dissociation enthalpy value should be less. Then only delta H overall will be negative, because electron gain enthalpy is negative, hydration enthalpy is negative, dissociation enthalpy is positive because it is energy required. So, to be delta H overall negative energies means electron gain enthalpy and hydration enthalpy should be more. In this way, the duration of today's video is over. Tomorrow I will teach you the compounds of halogen, means hydride of halogen, oxides of halogen, halides of halogen. Okay. So, in this way, the trends in the physical properties completely completed. Thank you.